Hey, Dwayne, did you ever find out what's in the shed?
I did. It's remnants of Son of Beast.
Ooh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beat the Beast, where news and rumors race the beast. As you can see, we are here live at Kings Island for Mystic Timbers Media Day. And as you can see, Mystic Timbers is right behind us. There goes the train. So we are going to talk to you about 4 separate topics here today, all about Mystic Timbers. I know you guys are dying to find out what's going on here, what kind of ride it is. So we have 4 great topics that we're going to discuss. Now, as a cautionary tale here, the last topic will be about what is in the shed. We will give you fair and ample notice before we talk about anything in the shed, so that if you wish to be surprised still, you can shut off the show, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and go about your merry way and still be surprised when you finally ride Mystic Timbers. So Dwayne, as always, we have to put 4 minutes and 10 seconds on that clock. So our first topic, well, before we do that, we gotta start the timer. Now, our first topic is all about the theme of Mystic Timbers. Now, as you know, we've seen a lot about the Miami Valley Lumber Company, that there's some sort of accident has happened. And let me tell you, Dwayne, that when we first walked in here this morning under the cover of night, I got a definitive haunt feeling about Mystic Timbers. And the haunt feeling with the music and the lighting and how you progress through the queue line with a unique storyline going on the TVs around you, I thought it was pretty cool. Dwayne, what did you think?
Yeah, immediately. When you think of a wooden coaster, you don't think of what you see when you got here. But because we got here under the cover of darkness, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and it just seemed eerie. I mean, you mentioned when we were in the line, a dose of fog would have made it even better. It really, truly looked and felt like a haunt. It was 45 degrees. Like you said, the video idea coming from something like over on the other side of the park with Outer Limits, where you have a storyline that you're actually seeing in the queue line, and then just to be able to hear the kind of haunting music that was behind it, something that I was not expecting at all. When I was coming to this, you see the whole Mystic Timbers. Was it going to be cartoony? Was it very loud? Was it going to be that type of ride? But it's not. It's so different in what you might be expecting if you were just to take a look at the actual, like the entrance sign, for example, very cartoony-like.
Yeah.
But that's not what this ride is at all.
Now, you know, and I think another thing about it is that as you enter, it's not just the station that's themed out to this log company, but it's also the lift hill, which kind of surprised me a little bit, that the lift hill, they try to replicate what happens on the Beast. You all know my love of the Beast, and you all know how I love the first and second lift hill of the Beast, and how it slowly creeps you up. Well, what I found funny is this ride tries to replicate that in every way, but in addition to that, there is a definitive storyline going up the hill. So if you follow the whole storyline from the queue line into the station, up the hill, it's a really complete package that I think gives a unique feel, especially for Cedar Fair, that we don't see this a lot in Cedar Fair. This has been one of the major criticisms of many Cedar Fair roller coasters, that they say that they have really nice names, they say that they have a really nice, you know, a layout, they're really great coasters, but it's always been that the theme has been missing. But here on Mystic Timbers, I think they've gotten rid of that once and for all. That this ride is probably the most themed roller coaster in all of Cedar Fair, I'd say.
I would agree with that. I mean, if you take a look at when you get here, just from the entrance, you got the truck that was beat up by a cannon by a company in California. You walk in, you hear the music, right? This big, huge, beautiful shed that you see at the end, right? The station, which will not all you, okay? It's not this extravagant thing, but I don't think it's supposed to be.
No.
I think it's meant to be what it is, and it's not a great large by any means, but it does its purpose, and it really does look rustic. It looks like you're walking into an abandoned lumberyard.
Yeah.
That's what it truly feels like, and that's what they want you to see.
And you know, you made the mention of it, that when you walk in, that there's a lot of creepy music, that there is also a do not enter message that plays as you first walk into the queue line. And you know, we kind of said, well, maybe this might dispel a few people from actually entering that line, that we've been kind of told that maybe this is a family coaster. I don't think that's accurate. But I think the whole theming kind of lends it to making a lot of people uncomfortable. I wonder if it's going to put some people off where they get too scared to actually go on it, but I think that's the point too.
Right, yeah.
I think that's going to make it really cool that we all know Kings Island has a huge teenager population that comes here every year, and I think it's going to make it that added sense of insecurity, that added sense of anxiety, and I think that's really going to play up the mystique. Right on the bell. So we'll start that clock up again here the next 4 minutes, where we move on to our next topic. And there you have it. Our next topic is going to be the actual ride itself. Now, Mystic Timbers is made by GCI, the second GCI coaster that we've been talking about here on COASTER-net in the past 2 weeks. We know Invader opened up last week at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This one opened up today, and Dwayne, I can't tell you basically how happy I am with this ride. This ride is completely, you know, excuse my expression, balls to the wall from start to finish. That's about the only way I can explain this to you. When I rode it the first time this morning under the cover of night, pretty cool experience. I have to say, a lot of the second half of Voyage in this ride. That you know, I've heard a lot of people talking about, they think it's going to be like Prowler, the layout looks like Prowler. Granted, I will say the layout does indeed look like Prowler. I love Prowler. But I think this ride and Prowler, I think that's exactly where the similarities end here. Because Prowler is a completely different ride experience to me. Prowler has more fluidity. Prowler has more grace to it in points. This ride is pure action from start to finish. It's more aggressive. It's probably the most aggressive GCI I've ever been on, and I know a lot of people look at Thunderhead and say Thunderhead might be the most aggressive GCI. I would say this one is. This one I think goes above and beyond what Thunderhead does. Dwayne, what do you think?
Well, piggyback your point on that, you talked about how it kind of brings elements of Prowler and some of the other GCIs like Thunderhead in it. I also think that they've done a great job of implementing the wooden coasters that are here in Kings Island into this. You get the speed that you get with the Beast. You get some of the airtime hills that you get with the Racer. And I think that, I wonder if that was kind of part of the whole equation, because they said that they wanted to make this a wooden coaster that's world class in a third generation. So you want to bring all these coasters that Kings Island is known for, and of course we know that this park is all about the wooden coaster. And did they want to implement that? And it certainly looks that way, because yes, you get the long, kind of the flat speed that you would get on the Beast, and you get the airtime hills, 16 times of it, supposedly. And trust me, not only do you get that, but some of my favorite parts of this, even like Fury 325, where you get the kick out, you get that sensation a couple times on this ride, and you don't get that very often on an actual true wooden roller coaster. So that was something, but it blew my mind. The ride at night, when we rode it this morning under the cover of darkness, it literally fit the theme perfect. Like you thought you were in the middle of the woods in an abandoned old like mine or a timber yard, and that's what it felt like. And like Andy said, it doesn't stop. You go down the first hill and the speed does not let up. You are going all the way until you go up the last hill, which then takes you shit. And I mean, the ride itself is so intense. Perfect way to put it, balls to the wall, because that's exactly what it is. It's not a Thunderhead. I've never ridden Prowler, but it's not like a Kentucky Rumbler. It is so much more than either one of those rides.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think anyone who writes this, that there's been a lot of question marks about how intense this was going to be, about how exciting this was going to be, and everyone I've heard today has been talking about this ride is going to be a top quality wooden coaster. A lot of people are already talking maybe in their top 5. I'm looking at my own personal top 5. It's already going to rank there in my top 5 somewhere. I'm still debating on where exactly it's going to fall out. But at the end of the day, I think this is a really great addition to Kings Island. And that time, we beat the Beast. Can you even see the Beast? No.
No, it's over there somewhere.
It's over there somewhere. As you can see, we've moved locations to give you a different view of Mystic Timbers here. And for our third topic, well, before we get to it, we got to start that clock. There you have it. For our third topic, we are going to talk about the expectations of Mystic Timbers versus what actually happened here for this ride. So, as you know, way back in August, we talked a lot about Mystic Timbers. We got those nice plans sent to us by one of our great fans, and we had the great Danny Miller, Mr. Engineer himself, go through and kind of break down each piece of this ride. Now, we thought we had a pretty good idea of the layout of Mystic Timbers, and for the most part, I would say that was pretty accurate. Now, the biggest question mark we had, Dwayne, was whether or not what type of coaster this would be. Would it be super intense? Would it be a family coaster? And based on the footers, based on what we saw there, we kind of assumed it was going to be a family roller coaster. And Dwayne, let me say, I could not have been more wrong about that. What are some of your thoughts on what you heard versus what you saw here?
Yeah, well, when we were looking through the plans and things that were sent to us, and then kind of as the construction was going on, it really seemed to me like it was going to be something more like Kentucky Rumbler or one of those rides, or more like maybe a transition ride. But when you get here and you walk through that the queue line and you get to the station and you see the first drop, that's when you immediately know this is not your transition coaster. This is way more than that. It is intense. It is so much more than what I expected, and I know that it's going to be the same thing for you. If you come in here and you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's just one of those mild coasters. It truly isn't, because once you're off that first hill, it is not stopping. Like we said in that second segment. I mean, my expectations blown from everything from the theme to the music to the cars themselves to the track to, I mean, everything. It is so much different than what I expected, and I actually would think that for most of the people that are here today.
Yeah, it definitely. When you start thinking about what this is, I think most people who come here are going to really enjoy Mystic Timbers. Like we've said multiple times here today, that I think that when you start ranking this, where are you going to put it? Is it a top 5 roller coaster? Absolutely. That, we look down at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, we see the construction of Invadar, and Danny Miller kind of said, versus, he said, if this is going to be as good as White Lightning, then he was going to be very happy, and Invadar far exceeded that. Now that, I think, when you look at it, is definitely more of a family coaster than this is. I kind of came into here talking about if this is as good as Prowler. I think this and Prowler are two completely different rides. And this one for sure, I think far exceeded my expectations. I'm still unsure of where I'm going to rank it. Definitely a top 5 wood coaster. The question is, ultimately, where is it going to be? Is it better than Prowler? Is it better than Lightning Rod? Probably not in my book, but I still think that this is a fine roller coaster that is a great addition to Kings Island here. Final thoughts on that one?
If you come out with the expectation that it's going to be some mind-blowing roller coaster, you might not be. Like, if you're thinking it's going to be something like the Beast, it's not that. It's a completely different generation coaster. It's more of a twister type coaster, although it's not. Like we talked about the second segment, bringing in all these different aspects from all the different rides. But this is just, like I've said, the whole idea of the kick out. I mean, it's bringing all the modern elements of all the coasters, even some of the still coasters, into this. And I mean, even with the shed, you don't really know what to think about it until you're actually in it. And it's something that you just actually have to come here and witness for yourselves. So listening to us talk about it probably isn't going to do it justice.
And that time we did beat the Beast, so
That's the twice?
That's two. That's the second time. Oh man, Beast in his own house, not holding down the fort by any sense of the word. But our last topic, like we warned you at the beginning, if you do not want to know about the shed, now is the time to end the video. hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But if you don't want to know about what's in the shed, now is the time to end it. Ride on, Ride Warriors. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. But we're going to get into, I think, the biggest question of the day here. So before we start, let's start that clock. There you have it. Now, the shed has been the most talked about thing about Mystic Timbers since the very beginning of this campaign, of this PR campaign, and people have been wondering what is in there. Some people thought it was a drop track. Some people thought that it was going to be animatronics. Some people thought that there'd be a saw that comes down. Some people thought that maybe even pieces of Son of Beast would be in there. Who knows? There was a lot of speculation out there with what is actually in the shed. Well, we found out today, and you know, like we said, once you enter the shed, it's just like a normal transfer track. That's a little bit themed. So you got some props on the walls, you got some vines all over the place. The most important part though is I think that there's a lot of theatrical lighting in there that allows for a different ambiance, a different environment to take hold of you. And then you enter into a secondary room, and in that secondary room you have two screens. You have a screen in front of you, you have a screen on the side of you, but all around you is also props and things. So it's not just screens on the wall. This isn't you know, like other rides you've seen where it's just pure screens. There's a lot of props in the room. As you enter, there's music playing, once again theatrical lighting. And then, as you progress forward into the room, the screens start acting. That there's static you know, landscapes or static pictures, and then they start changing. And there's actually various sequences that happen in the shed. So far, we've gotten a sequence with the Mystic Timbers logo tree. We've gotten a sequence with vampire bats. We've heard there's snakes and other things. But it changes each time you go through the shed, and the screens, like, things pop out at you, the lighting changes. It's a really cool experience. You know, I don't think that the shed could ever live up to the expectations that some people set to it, but I think at the end of the day it's a really good addition to Mystic Timbers.
Very, very reminiscent of a couple things. Right? If you've ever gotten a chance to ride Thunderbird at Holiday World, when you go out and before you're launched, you see that that's what going into the shed kind of looks like, mimics a little bit. And then you go into the second part, and that's where it really is reminiscent of Verbolten, where you get the different types of sequences, right, with the wolves and the leaves and all that, and that's what you get here. And so if you think that you're going to come in, you're going to get this big extravagant show or whatever, your expectations are probably a little too high for that. But if you come in with an open mind and you understand that this means everything for this ride, it literally was put there because one of the worst parts about a ride is the last few parts. You're hearing the train being done behind us here. But at the, you know, when you go in and you hit the last few brakes and you're on the transfer track, that's the most boring part of the ride. So here they're wanting to give you one last surprise, one last element of the ride to really keep your suspense going. And I think that's what they were trying to do. And in reality, they do a good job with it. The company that they brought in to do all of this does a great job with the different sequences and different animations that are on there. It was not what I thought. I was expecting something like a saw to come down, or maybe we're just going to cut the train in half, or maybe even like an axeman taking an axe and chopping down a tree and maybe having a tree animatronic almost come down and hit you. That's what I was expecting. This is not, but again, we are going this direction in regards to entertainment, and it's probably only the base of what's going to happen in the future.
Also a note that it's the same company that did all the 3D animations in the shed also did the Battle for Cedar Point last year. So if you're familiar with how those things looked, it's much of the same as that. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think you're absolutely right. It's a part of the ride that nobody liked. Nobody likes sitting on the transfer track. And now, I think people actually will like sitting on the transfer track and taking in this environment. So in my book, that's a big win. That's a big win for the ride. And there's the beast. That's a big win for the ride. That's a big win for all of us. So, you know, 2 for 2 today in the Beast House. I'll take it, Dwayne.
Every day.
I'll take it every day like that. As always, thank you first to Kings Island for allowing us to come to this wonderful media day. And thank you always for watching us here on Beat the Beast. As always, I'm Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Dwayne Sponsteller from Parkersburg, West Virginia. As always, may the Q line be ever in your favor.
Right on, my warrior.